Chosen one, pause for a moment. This message is not chasing you, it is meeting you. You didn't arrive here by scrolling randomly. Something inside you leaned in before your mind could explain why. And that is because God is speaking gently to your spirit right now. Not to frighten you, not to rush you, but to remind you who you are. This is not a warning. This is reassurance. This is not pressure. This is presence. Take a breath. Let your heart settle. God says, I see you where you are, and I have not lost sight of where you are going. My precious child, you were not formed by chance, and your life was never an accident. Before your first breath, before your name was spoken by human lips, I knew you fully. I saw the shape of your heart, the depth of your spirit, and the courage you would one day need. I placed purpose inside you long before the world ever tested you. You may look at your life and wonder why the path felt heavier than others, why responsibility found you early, why you felt different even when you tried to blend in. But there is a reason. I entrusted you with depth because I knew you could carry it. I allowed you to feel more because your heart was built to understand more. There are gifts within you that did not come easily. They were formed through experience, refined through patience, and strengthened through endurance. What felt like delay was development. What felt like pressure was preparation. I was shaping you quietly, intentionally, with care. You have questioned yourself many times. You wondered if you were enough, if you were doing enough, if you had missed something along the way. But hear this clearly. You have not fallen behind. You have been becoming. Every step you took, even the uncertain ones, were steps I was watching over. I did not choose you because you were perfect. I chose you because you were willing to grow, willing to learn, willing to keep going even when you felt tired. I saw the moments you doubted your strength, and still you stood. I saw the times you wanted to give up, and still you hoped. That is not weakness. That is faith being formed. You are carrying something meaningful, even if you cannot fully name it yet. There is wisdom in you that will guide others. There is compassion in you that will heal wounds. There's light in you that will soften dark places. That is why your journey required refinement. So do not measure yourself by the speed of others. Do not compare your calling to paths that were never meant for you. Your story is unfolding exactly as it should. I am not rushing you. I am walking with you. Trust this season. Trust the shaping. Trust my hand upon your life. You were chosen deliberately, lovingly, and with great purpose. My beloved child, there were moments in your life when the silence felt unbearable. Times when you cried out and heard nothing in return. Times when you asked, "Where are you, God?" and felt as though your words disappeared into the air. But hear this now with clarity and peace. I was never absent. I was with you in the nights you couldn't sleep. When your thoughts felt heavier than your body, I was there when you replayed conversations, decisions, and losses, searching for answers that never came. I was there when you smiled for others, while carrying sorrow in places no one could see. You may have thought strength meant not breaking, but true strength was you getting back up, again and again, even when your heart felt tired. I watched you endure seasons that would have hardened others. Instead, you softened. You chose compassion when bitterness would have been easier. You chose patience when anger felt justified. That choice mattered more than you know. There were moments you felt overlooked, misunderstood, or forgotten, but heaven recorded every tear you never explained, every prayer you whispered without confidence, every breath you took when it felt easier to stop trying. Nothing escaped my sight. I did not rescue you by removing the storm. I rescued you by holding you through it. I taught you how to stand when the ground felt unstable. I strengthened your spirit when circumstances refused to change. That is why you are still here. Some of the pain you carry now is not because you are broken, but because you survived what was meant to destroy you. And survival leaves marks, not of shame, but of testimony. You carry wisdom that can only be earned through endurance. You carry empathy born from suffering. You carry discernment shaped in darkness. Do not question whether those seasons mattered. They did. I was refining your faith, deepening your understanding, and preparing you to walk forward with quiet authority. You were not abandoned in the waiting. You were being strengthened in ways you could not see at the time. Even now, when memories resurface or old emotions return, remember this: they do not define you. They remind you of how far you've come. And I am still with you, just as I was then. Rest in this truth, my child. You were never alone, and you never will be, my precious child. There are things you have been carrying that were never meant to stay with you this long. Moments, words, choices, and memories that continue to surface when you least expect them. You replay them, not because you want to suffer, but because you hoped understanding would somehow heal the ache. But hear me now. The past no longer has authority over your future. What hurt you does not get to define who you are becoming. What you regret does not erase the good I have planted within you. What others failed to see does not cancel the purpose I placed on your life. I have already forgiven what you still hold against yourself. I have already healed wounds you keep reopening through reflection and self-blame. My grace was never meant to be temporary. It was meant to set you free. You are allowed to let go without explanation. You are allowed to move forward without carrying proof of your pain. You do not owe yesterday your energy anymore. The lessons remain, but the weight can be released. There are parts of your story that shaped you, but they are not meant to cage you. You were not created to live inside regret or replay mistakes as punishment. Growth does not require suffering to continue. Healing does not demand remembrance. Some of the heaviness you feel is not because the pain is still present, but because you have not yet permitted yourself to be free from it. Freedom begins when you trust me with what you cannot change, when you release control over outcomes that are already redeemed. Do not measure your worth by what went wrong. Measure it by how you rose. Measure it by the compassion you still carry. Measure it by the strength that remains gentle despite what you endured. The season ahead requires lighter hands and an open heart. You cannot step into what is new while gripping what has already been healed. Lay it down, not because it didn't matter, but because it no longer belongs to you. I am doing something fresh in you, and there is room for it only when you release what was. Walk forward, my child. You are forgiven, you are restored, and you are free, my beloved child. Not every voice around you was meant to shape you. Not every presence in your life was meant to remain, and not every door that opened was sent by me. There are relationships and environments that once served a purpose, but can no longer sustain who you are becoming. Some people benefited from your patience, your kindness, your understanding, yet never learned how to honor your heart. And I do not ask you to stay where your spirit is slowly worn down. Peace is not weakness, it is wisdom. Boundaries are not rejection, they are protection. I have given you discernment so you would not have to carry what drains you. When something repeatedly steals your joy, confuses your spirit, or causes you to doubt your worth, it is time to pay attention. My voice is gentle, but it is consistent. You were not created to live in survival mode, constantly bracing yourself for disappointment. You were created to walk in freedom, clarity, and love. And freedom sometimes requires separation, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in obedience. Do not confuse loyalty with endurance. Meiji, staying too long in what diminishes you does not honor me. I am not glorified by your exhaustion. I am honored by your obedience to truth. There are places you've outgrown, conversations you no longer need to have, and expectations that were never meant to sit on your shoulders. Release them without guilt. Protect your spirit without apology. I am leading you toward relationships that recognize your value, spaces that nurture your calling, and environments where your light is welcomed rather than resisted. But you must trust me enough to step away from what feels familiar, yet limiting. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away without explaining yourself. I am with you in this, and where I lead, there is rest. My beloved child, pause for a moment and breathe. You were never walking alone, even when the road felt silent. Every delay, every quiet struggle, every unanswered prayer was seen and held. What you are feeling now is not confusion, but transition. I am leading you forward gently, not with pressure, but with peace. You are not behind, and you are not forgotten. What lies ahead will not require fear or force, only trust. Release what you cannot control and rest your heart. You are becoming exactly who you were meant to be, step by step. I am with you, guiding you, strengthening you, now and always.